Hi YouTube, it's me, Heather, and I'm talking really quietly because I have a sleeping baby next to me. Her name's Rebecca. She's named after the Old Testament Rebecca, who was the mother of Jacob, who became Israel. And she came out via C-section. So I had 26, 27 hours of labor, about 7 hours of active labor with no drugs. So I really made a good effort to have her at home. But she did not turn, and though I dilated, she did not drop. And so this is kind of an issue with breech and home birth is the risk of complications, and United States hospitals won't generally allow you to attempt a vaginal breech delivery in the hospital because of insurance and regulations. And so if I was going to have her naturally, it would be at home, although midwives aren't even allowed to attend these births. So I would be essentially on my own. And it was a very stressful decision for me, but there is a doctor, Amy Tudor, who is really against home birth and who has a lot of scary stories out. And, there's some truth to it, but she also puts a lot of her own spin into it and isn't always entirely forthright, in my opinion. But there was a story of a woman who did have a vaginal breech delivery at home, and her baby did die as a result of it. And I had studied that extensively, what happened in her case. And one of the things that happened in her case was the labor went on a long time. And I found a midwife in Europe, because in Europe it's normal and they'll just do it. And she had some guidelines like it's a sign if your labor's really long that it's not progressing properly and you should go on and do the C-section. And she gave an arbitrary, not arbitrary to her, but to me it was, I don't know where it came from, but 6 hours of active labor if you've never had a kid before, and 4 hours of active labor, 4.5 if you have. My active labor was pushing 7 hours and I was exhausted. And wow, I had an epidural with my son. So let me tell you, it's painful and it's exhausting. And there's no reason why. I just don't know. Anyway, and this is and I had what you call a dry birth because my water broke at the beginning. So I also was past 24 hours with broken water. And so, yeah, we went to the hospital, and I was really blessed because as much fear as I have with hospitals, we picked one that's owned by Seventh-day Adventists. And we got there, and the doctor and the anesthesiologist were on call. I was told they were at home, but they both arrived within 5 minutes. So they must have chosen to sleep there, which was a blessing. And she wasn't like hanging halfway out of me getting brain damage. It was totally like, yeah, I was dilated, but she was still safe. And they did the C-section, and no, it wasn't pleasant. But the doctor that I had chosen took a long time stitching me up. He did what's called a double suture, which you may want to look into if you're struggling with this decision. And he sewed the inside and outside of the uterus to prevent rupture later on in case I want to have what's called a VBAC or vaginal birth after cesarean. He also stitched my abdominals back together up to the midline. So like before I even got pregnant with her, my abdominals were split open. It's something called diastasis. It was from having my son. They sometimes just kind of open up and you have like a big tunnel of space in your abs. And I've had that since he was born. Well, he stitched that up for me. That's something that would have occurred in a tummy tuck. So it's a little bit of plastic surgery, I guess. And then he did what's called a transverse incision on my uterus, which also decreases the chance of rupture and allows me to attempt a VBAC. And then he did a transverse incision really way low down on the outside too, so it won't even be visible. So I think I got the best C-section I could possibly get, and I'm glad that I had sought out certain things before it happened and didn't just transfer to the ER unknowingly, because a lot of doctors still don't do double sutures. And if it's an emergency C-section and your baby's like hanging halfway out of you and they have to save you right then, they're not going to have time to do these transverse incisions, which will basically mean you will be trapped having C-sections every time you get pregnant after that. So I feel really blessed. And then afterward, my biggest fear was getting bullied about the hepatitis shot and getting bullied about the vitamin K shot and getting bullied about all these things. But I think maybe it's because it was a Seventh-day Adventist hospital and they don't vaccinate, or maybe it's because I'm just blessed because I follow Torah, and the Torah says that you will be blessed and your enemies will be taken out of your path if you follow it. I told them it was against my religion and we followed Torah, and I didn't get a single bit of friction from anyone at the hospital at all. And I know people don't often hear that. You often hear they called CPS or they secretly gave my kid the shot, and that did not happen to me. The pediatrician came in and did talk to me about the vitamin K shot and said he has an oral alternative. And I said, well, I have an oral one at home. Is yours natural or synthetic? And he said his is still synthetic. And I said, no, thank you. And that was it. They did run a gamut of tests on her, which, is tiring. That wouldn't happen at home, and it's like, do you like that or not? I don't know, but they checked everything, her hearing, her oxygen, her I don't know how long her toenails are. No, I'm just kidding. The PKU test, of course, which who knows what they're doing with that genetic material on file. But I will know if she has one of 4 genetic diseases, which is phenylketonuria, homocystinuria, congenital hypothyroidism, or one more, I don't remember. The worst thing I think that happened, the thing that bothers me the most, is the issue of the placenta, which if you watch my previous videos on this playlist, we don't really know what happens to our placentas and our cords when we give birth in hospitals. I was going to try to do a placental encapsulation here at home, but I did have a confirmation from a nurse who worked in labor and delivery that they don't burn the placentas because it's a biohazard. They sell them to third-party companies, and I had speculated that it was like, who knows, it could be like these cloning people in Europe. My husband pointed out, though, that they use fetal cells to make shampoos and cosmetics, and that bothers me. That's not kosher to me. But that was something that I had not arranged ahead of time. So if you're struggling with this, and there's a chance you might transfer, like especially if you're breached, there's a definite big chance, or if you're high risk and you have to give birth in a hospital, check your state laws about recovering your placenta. You don't have to eat your placenta. You don't have to do whatever. But just because you don't know what's happening to that genetic material, that belongs to your baby. So that's the worst of it. But I let that go, and yeah, they gave me antibiotics. Luckily, it was penicillin. So it wasn't a fluoride-based antibiotic. I avoided ergot derivatives, and that's really good. They did give me Pitocin because they have to give you that, or they don't have to, but they choose to give you that so that you don't begin hemorrhaging, and that prevented the ergot derivative. So I took it. So antibiotics and Pitocin, and they wanted me to take some kind of painkiller afterward, and I said no, and I just settled for ibuprofen. So I think I got out of there fairly unscathed. We'll see how my uterus does in the future, but there's the update. And of course my baby's asleep right next to me, but she's wearing blue, and I'm not trying to confuse her gender, or whatever these new freaking weird people are that say, don't force your child to wear pink, and bleh. I don't care. She's a girl. She's gonna wear pink. But she was a surprise. We didn't know it was a girl, and so we're putting her in the kind of blah onesies right now because she's in that phase where she does three things: eat and sleep and the other things. So I'm going to give you a peek and then I'm going to sign off. Thanks everybody for watching this whole playlist. And yeah, I'm going to put more stuff up, but for right now, it's been like 2 weeks and I don't know if some of you like wonder if I died or what. So we're here and we made it. And as far as the vaccines in the hospitals, I really think if it's a religious thing, they're not going to fight you. If it's a philosophical thing, they are. And so Tora did protect me, just like I promised. But here's the baby. Little baby, where's she?